Cześć pokututa, is Takrenko, jak Oscar.
Well, this one's going to be a bit different than usual. Today I'm looking at the Star Wars Micro Galaxy Squadron Luke Snowspeeder from Jakks Pacific. Because I'm a 6-inch Star Wars collector, I have a bit of a vehicle itch. They don't make a ton of 6-inch scale vehicles, and the ones they do make are huge. The Snowspeeder is actually one of the few vehicles they did make in 6-inch, and it looks great, but I just don't have the room to display these vehicles. I only ever picked up the speeder bike, which I really like. But vehicles are such a big part of Star Wars. I heard about this new line, and I thought I would give it a look. It's got rave reviews. It's a pretty young line, so I can hop in right at the start. So I thought I'd start with the Snowspeeder here. Let's take a look. Here is the Snowspeeder out of the packaging, and starting with the paint apps, it's got a wash to it that brings out some of the sculpt. It's a little sloppy and heavy-handed in places. You can see where the paint has pooled in some of the areas, but it still gives it the kind of grimy feel you want with an original trilogy vehicle. There's a lot of grey on this thing, a lot of dark grey, and from what I can see, there should be more orange. The movie version had more orange about it, especially in this area where it's just dark grey. But we do have some finer apps. We have these what look like Zs. We have a bit of brown on the back there, and sort of a gunmetal for the grille on the back. Overall, for a vehicle its size, and it's about 3.5 inches wide and just under 4 inches long from the gun to the back, I think we get a good amount of detail and paint. The detail extends to the cockpit too, and there seems to even be a bit of a wash in there, so I'm happy with all of that. As for build quality, with a lot of smaller Star Wars vehicles, you kind of expect die-cast. This is not. This is completely plastic. It doesn't feel cheap to me. It feels like a pretty good build quality. It doesn't feel like if I dropped it, it would break off, even for the thinner pieces on the guns here. It feels completely fine. It's good build quality overall. This thing has a few play features, including a working tow cable. It's not terribly long, but it does the job. It's got a little hook, so you can hook it onto stuff or even onto itself there, which I think is pretty cool. That retracts into the vehicle via this little wheel. You just spin it, and it brings the cable back in there. You miss a bit of the sculpt here, so it can tuck in, so it breaks up the grill at the back, but that's not too bad. You have a swiveling gun at the back, although I think this shoots the tow cable in the actual canon of the movie. You also have these little panels that move back and forth with this little mechanism here, which is very cool. I believe these come up as the speeder turns. I remember that being a thing in the Battlefront game. As you saw earlier, the cockpit opens up. It goes about that wide, but you can move it further, but it has kind of a worrying click to it. But you can get it all the way up there. Oh, you just gotta click it. Also at the bottom, it has a kickstand. So when this is extended, it lays like this. When it's not extended, it lays flat, like that. So this is a very welcome feature, and I quite like that. As you can see, a lot of the paint washes on the bottom there as well. The speeder comes with 2 small figures, Luke and Dak. I love the little box that they come with. And out of the packaging, it's a pretty good amount of detail for such a tiny figure. It's about 1 inch tall. You can see there's a bit of sculpted detail and some paint apps. You've got the visor, 2 little red dots on the helmet. He's got some grey on the chest panel. His gloves are a light grey. Not too bad for a figure this tiny. Dak is identical except for the blue on his helmet rather than the red. These do have a very small amount of articulation. The arms move as one unit, as do the legs. And that's it, no head swivel or anything. But it's enough, you can get them in a sitting position, and that's all you really need. Getting them in the vehicle is very easy. You simply place them in there, and they're in. Dak was a little tougher because he's in the back, but very simple. You can see there's a bit of plastic between the legs there. They are loose in here. If you give it a shake, they will move around, but you can simply just close the canopy, and they're in there. Something I will mention is the scale. Compared to the figures, the Snowspeeder seems really big, like really big. You can see on-set photos of the actors with the Snowspeeders, and compared to this, there is a pretty big difference. With that said, I don't particularly mind. I know all the figures in the line are the same scale, and the vehicles tend to differ a little bit. That's not a huge issue for me, as long as they're generally the correct size, right? The Snowspeeder isn't as big as the Falcon, for example. That's cool with me, but it's something to consider and something I'm sure will bug some people. So overall, for a first impression of the line, I really like the Snowspeeder. It does what you need it to do, maybe a little more than that. I love the little kickstand for display purposes. I know a lot of people want to see these come with clear stands of their own, and that would be nice. I'll probably put it on a clear acrylic stand that I have lying around. I'm sure some people will suspend these things, but for what it is, it's a good looking Star Wars vehicle with pretty good detail, some good paint apps. I love the inclusion of the minifigures rather than sculpted in pilots. Yeah, I'm liking this line. I will investigate further, might pick up another vehicle or two to see how I feel, but the Snowspeeder's a win for me. Thank you for watching. Be sure to check out some of my other videos. I typically review 6-inch action figures. I've been on a bit of a hiatus, but I plan on doing some more reviews pretty soon. Thanks so much for watching.